Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I've prepared for you a device that seems to elude any sense of reason. Whereas most of my other projects, I'd think I'd be able to come up with some kind of reason that I think they should exist. This one is just the result of a purely unimpeded, senseless stupor of crackhead engineering. In case you couldn't tell, I've created a segment display that utilizes guardians as a means of showing the numbers. And if you can't really understand how it works, that makes sense because the mechanic that it's based upon is nearly just as deranged as the machine I've designed itself. For the past 10 years, guardians have always had this really weird visual bug where if they're trying to attack something at a steep angle, their visual location becomes extremely disjointed from where they actually are. The reason we care about this is because if we can force guardians to attack something that's at a really steep angle, then we can get them to do some really stupid stuff. Along comes the very first iteration of the design, where I used 3 guardians per segment of the display, and they were positioned just all next to each other, sitting on top of amethyst crystals as they look down at a singular squid. This design certainly has its flaws, the main one being that since all 3 guardians are looking at the same squid, they kind of splay out a little bit, making the numbers look a little disjointed, but the other one being that this kind of wiring would probably get me executed by the redstone community, although what I'm doing right now is kind of a disgrace to pretty much all numerical displays that came before me anyways, so I guess it doesn't really matter what war crimes I commit from this point on. You might notice that every so often the guardians flash in and out. That's merely a consequence of me having to briefly disable their line of sight to the squids, otherwise they're gonna get fried. You might have also noticed that the fishes on the left here are absolutely freaking it, while the other ones here are much more nonchalant about their situation, and that's solely a consequence of the fact that when guardians are out of water, their tails flap like crazy. These ones are in water. Alright, enough of that absolutely novice work anymore, because this is the point where I started to put way too much time in this absolute crackpot of a vision, and now we start getting into some serious engineering. The new design is going to use Elder Guardians instead, because bigger is better, and also it's going to have the actual Elder Guardian hitboxes themselves in the center of the machine. This is opposed to having them on the outside with the other display, which should help us make the entire machine a little bit more compact. The actual setup that allows us to put all of these Elder Guardians in such a perfect square is really complicated. I'm going to go ahead and make them invisible. And as you can see, all of these minecarts are actually clipping into each other and positioned in really weird ways on top of chains so that they can look downwards through to the squids, and they're aligned using amethyst buds. The reason for this weird alignment is to give us the ability to put exactly 1 trapdoor inside the hitbox of every single Elder Guardian, which allows us to individually control whether or not they can be looking up or down. We also introduce a bunch of other random obstructions like these fence gates, which stop Elder Guardians from seeing the wrong squid. Alright, now for the actual machine. Since I'm lazy and I don't actually care about doing proper wiring, I just basically ripped the red coder off of my LCD 7-segment display panel from a really long time ago and just inverted it and hooked it up to 2 different things. The way that the machine works is that you can simply select which number you're using these lecterns, and then you push this button to update it, so I can set that for both of them, and then it should show up on the display. So, what do I actually have to say about this project? Well, number one, I both love it and hate it, because it's aesthetically pleasing in that it forms readable numbers incredibly well, but it's also one of the most hideous displays in existence. It's also one of the most 3-dimensional 7-segment displays I've ever seen, perhaps in a potentially bad way, but I guess that makes it unique. Also, a couple more things. It's completely possible to build in survival, take with that what you will, and also the random cycling of numbers is done using commands, because I'm incredibly lazy, and that's not what I'm here to find out. Anyways, that's about it for today. I pretty much just made a video on how to smelt the maximum number of items using campfires possible, so make sure to go check that out if you enjoyed this video. It's very similar, very equally stupid. Also make sure to subscribe in case I post things in the future with a slightly more reasonable upload schedule. And make sure to like, check out the Discord, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!